Years ago, I left America to find something more than this country could offer me. And it was honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made. I don't regret my time in another country because in all honesty, it was fantastic. Even the bad days were better than some of the best days I've had in America. And I was fortunate enough to live in some places I only dreamed of. And I never thought that I'd actually go. Growing up as poor as I did, I never even had the dream of leaving this country. I always thought it was going to be something that was out of my reach, but it wasn't. And the first time I left America was right after I got out of the military. I just wanted to travel a bit because travel within the military is not so much fun. So to get out there and actually enjoy life and live my life according to me, it's just something that was very appealing to me. It is something, I don't know, as a man, I felt like I had to do. I just had to get out there and live. You know, I didn't allow myself to live for a long time, whether that was responsibility that I had within my family to take care of people, or just like a great feeling of shame that I had if I were to leave the country and leave people behind, people who counted on me. There came a time in my life where I had to make the choice. Do I want to stay or do I want to go? And I chose to leave, and I don't regret that. And for anyone who's actually made the move outside the United States, I think most of them will tell you that there really isn't much to regret. Zen it up. From a very young age in America, we're taught about the grandness of America, how amazing it is, how there's no place in the world like it. And in many ways, this is true. But as we grow up, that illusion that we internalized turns to disillusion, disenchantment, and eventually resentment. I resent my country. I resent America for what it's become, for what it's done to a lot of people that I've known, for the opportunity that it's taken away, for the fact that there's so many of my brothers and sisters from the military who live on the streets now, and nothing is ever done about it. There's not really a care. Every now and then it's trotted out as a talking point, but no one actually cares. Maybe that's the cold reality of life, that we're all just kind of on our own. But I'm somebody who has a deep affinity for things like brotherhood and family. So to see the country actively turn away from the things that it taught me was the most valuable part of life filled me with a kind of anger. And it's taken me a long time to really digest that. And it wasn't really until I left America and started living long-term in these foreign places, these places that are supposed to be bad, these places that are supposed to be third world, that I realized that people from the third world often live more fulfilling lives than we ever will in America. There's a sense of gratitude in every daily action, every daily meal, every prayer, every moment that they get to spend with family because it actually means something to them still in their cultures. You realize that there's something that we have lost. And I don't know if we ever actually had it. Because the truth is, I can't remember when America was a great place. I just remember the idea that was told to me. I remember what they said it was. But I never actually got to experience that. But I got to experience it in other places. There's something incredibly freeing about going to another country and leaving everything behind. Truly being on your own in a way that you make your own self. The reputation that you have is fresh. It's new. And it's the decisions and the actions that you make in these new places that determine how people are going to treat you, how they're going to look at you. The baggage that you've carried around your whole life, whether fair or unfair, isn't there anymore. It is a fresh start. And I think in many ways, that's what people like. People yearn for a fresh start. And what better thing can there be than to have a fresh start in a new world, in places where history meets the exotic. For anyone who watches my content knows that I have a deep affinity for Greece and Greek culture, Greek history. I have a degree in archaeology. It's something that I've always loved. And when I was a young kid in a broken home, all I had was my history books and movies to provide me with a kind of escapism that became real when I put my feet on the soil of these ancient places. I love Greece for that, and I'm thankful to Greece for that. More than that, you know, traveling around Europe, traveling around Southeast Asia, seeing different places in the Middle East, being able to touch the history and exist in cultures that are supposed to be enemies of mine, in cultures that are supposed to be foreign and dangerous and unfriendly to Americans. I've never seen more hospitality than when I'm in those places. I walk down the street in America and I say hello to people and people look at me like I'm weird. I make eye contact with them and they think maybe it's a threat. In the rest of the world, I can walk around and say hello and I get a hello back. A smile is met with another smile. And people aren't as fickle as they are in America. They're not as changeable. Usually because they have some kind of moral anchoring that comes from being raised in tight-knit families that we don't have in America, not anymore. So even in the normal day, there's still beauty in the mundane. People take moments out of their lives during the day, even while they're working, to show appreciation, whether that be through religion or just having a text or call to a family member, a close friend. Conversations more than just the banal, more than just the superficial. It seems to me that the connections that people make in other countries are meant to be strengthened over time. It's not what's best for me now or what I can get out of it. There's something about American mentality that's opportunistic in nature, and I resent it. Because I'm somebody who was raised without, I resent that level of selfishness. And I know that I'm a hypocrite because I'm still sometimes a very selfish person. But being outside of America long enough allows you to break down these negative aspects of yourself. Because you see yourself and your own actions through the reflection of other people. And in America, where everyone is so selfish, when everyone's so full of themselves, this is justified because my actions are the same as their actions. My selfishness is the same as their selfishness. But in many other countries, people don't have the ability to be selfish. They have to look out for each other because that is valued. Friendship is valued. Family is valued. Country, nationality is valued. These things still have meaning. These words, these values, even the definitions of things like patriotism and nationalism have been so twisted in America that they can't be used in normal conversation without triggering somebody. In the rest of the world, people are free to feel patriotic. Even if they don't like their governments, they still have some kind of commonality between them. And they appreciate that. And I appreciate that. And I want that. But the older I get, the more I realize that in America, that sentiment isn't really shared. People don't want to be part of a community. People look at each other in a great distrust, and it serves no benefit for anyone to live in distrust and paranoia. So imagine leaving that behind and landing in a place where you don't speak the language, where no one knows you, where you see children running and playing even in cities, where you see people opening the door and helping old people out. You see people get together outside of cafes and socialize and actually talk about each other's lives because people actually have lives. It's more than just chasing a lifestyle of perceived comfortability from a new culture founded in consumerism. There's something old to it. There's something very human to it. That's why I say in America, we've had our humanity stolen from us because our culture has been so corrupted. But in the purity of other people's cultures, we can see what we should want and the people that we want to be and the kind of people that you need to be and able to enact the kind of change to have your community grow and to be like that is a kind of freedom that's hard to describe. It brings a kind of joy that's hard to describe because it doesn't exist in this country anymore. And honestly, it breaks my heart because our country can be like that. We can still love our country. We can still love each other. And we can still have a nation that's worth having. But for some reason, we can't break away from the kind of hate that pits us against each other on the most benign subjects. America has fallen because of the degradation of its resiliency, the decadence of its morality, an ever-changing political nature without any grounding at all. And people live off of speculation instead of inherent truths that we've learned throughout the generations. I am someone who believes in appreciating the accomplishments of those who came before us because they led us to a very amazing world that we've turned into a trap. And the reality is we're not trapped. You can leave. And you never realize how lucky you were to leave until you come back. And you see that this place is exactly why you left it. But it's a strange thing about being away from home for so long, even though that home may have been toxic, even though it may have been abusive, there may have been addicts. It may have been a very hostile place for you to live. As time goes on, the hard edges are softened and you miss it. You forget about the pain that it caused you. The old ideas of patriotism come back in, but they're idealized and they make no sense. They're not in reality. So there's a draw of homeland that's still there. But that's for another video. If I have any advice for anyone who's thinking about leaving the country, it's to do it. To do it. Quit your job and move abroad. Do it. If you have a savings to go for an extended period of time, go. It doesn't have to be years. It can be months, and it can change your life. It can change what you expect of yourself and what you expect from your community and your country. When you actually put your foot in the soil, when you actually dive into a foreign culture, even if it's for a short period of time, it will change you. Does travel change you? Does it make you a better person? Yes, it does. And this isn't a statement of arrogance. This isn't a statement of pride. It literally changes you. It will open up a new perspective to you that you were not aware of, and you'll never regret it. Is it always easy? No. Is everywhere a paradise? Of course not. Everywhere you go, there's people struggling to different degrees. In America, there's a lot of people struggling. In the Philippines, there's a lot of people struggling. In Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in Eastern Europe, all throughout Africa, in the Middle East and in Asia, and in South America, there's always people struggling. But one of the things in traveling, in seeing the struggle of other people, you will gain such an appreciation of the privileges that you have, the benefits from being from your country that you have, even if now those benefits seem few and far between. But moreover, it just gives you an appreciation for life, for living your life. I came back to America a different person. I work harder, I work more efficiently because there's things that I want and I expect more of myself. I expect to be more responsible. I expect to be able to bear more responsibility because of the necessity and the importance of the consequences of my actions. That I can create an amazing world around me and life for those who are within my circle. And there is a reason why immigrants come to America and do so well. And it's not just because one political side props them up and one wants them out. That's not how it is. It is a mindset. It's a mindset that goes beyond hustle culture. It's a mindset that appreciates time and uses it wisely and understands dedication and sacrifice in a way that we have lost because we have no reason to dedicate our lives to anything anymore except ourselves. I love my wife's family. I never thought that I would get along with a family that's not mine as much as I do hers. I respect them. I respect the sacrifices that they've made and the fact that their family has built themselves up to be so well. And even the youngest children in that family are more well-behaved than pretty much any kid I've met in America because they're just raised right, because they're raised to be members of a good family. Their families show each other love and appreciation, and they hide the harshness of the world from their children as much as they can, and just try to show them a little bit of magic that children should have in their upbringing, and especially within the closeness of those family bonds. Because care and love goes beyond logic and reason, and we can't fight it. If we just accept it, these are my people now. I'm going to help these people. I'm going to be there for them. That's what family is. And that's what family seems to be everywhere except here. Here, people want to get as far away from people as they can. The dream in America is to what? To get a house in the middle of nowhere where you don't have to see anybody? To live apart from instead of a part of? This goes against human nature. We're not solitude creatures. We're social creatures. And we're not being social when we don't have a social life, when we don't have people that we love that we can share with, people that we can talk out our problems with, people that we can lean on when we struggle, we suffer greatly. There's a reason why mental illness in America is the way that it is right now. There's a reason why mental illness are at the highest rates that they've ever been in this country. It's not because of overdiagnosis. It's because of a great cancer within our society. And the greatest symptom of that cancer is a deep hopelessness and grinding depression that forces people away from society and makes them want to move into the middle of nowhere. That's not normal. That's not right. There are moments of adventure in our life where we should pursue greatness and we should pursue some kind of honor. But to permanently lock ourselves away from society is a very abnormal thing that in the rest of the world would be met with great concern from the people that care about you. But in America, you hear about someone who they went and lived in the woods for a year. That's amazing. I wish I could do that. Why? What are you running from? What are you trying to escape? And I don't think that people are trying to run or escape. I think that they're trying to go to something that they don't know what it is. And I can say as someone who's gone into deep isolation and as someone who's traveled, that what you're looking for isn't found in the middle of nowhere. There's a kind of deep introspection that I can appreciate with solitude. But what you find with solitude is that eventually the only thing that matter are people. And it's easy to come to that realization when you're abroad. And when you come back to America and you realize it's just not here, you understand why people have that feeling. But I say the answer isn't to escape the world, it's to find a better part of it. Because this is a big world and there's a lot of great parts in it. And America's a beautiful place. The kind of natural beauty you have in this place is hard to find anywhere else, but it is out there. This is one small piece of land on this giant rock. And each place you go to has its own specific kind of beauty. Go around the countryside in Greece and you're like, in some parts of it, you're like, oh, this just looks like Southern California. In some parts, you feel like you're in the Appalachians. It's amazing the amount of geological and natural diversity that there is in this world. It can put you into a state of awe that words really can't describe how you feel or what you're seeing. You just feel small in the most beautiful and profound way. So I say, don't feel too connected to this patch of land. Go and explore, even if it's for a short period of time. There are ways that you can extend your stay in other places. And I mean more than just the visa, of finding a way to live. There's normal ways. You don't even have to be a digital nomad. You don't have to just work remotely. There's ways that you can work and make American salaries in other countries. You just have to look. But even if not, just take the time. And you'll never regret it. And let it change you. And let yourself become a better person. Let yourself release the baggage of America. Let yourself release the baggage that this country has put on you and actually learn who you are and learn where you fit in this world. Thanks for stopping by.